Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years.
Nobody expected Prince's name to come up in the middle of Diddy's trial. But when it did, the courtroom shifted. And so did the mood around one of the most powerful men in music. Prince, the pop icon, passed away in 2016 from an accidental overdose. For years, his name has been spoken with reverence, a legend, a genius, a man who played by no one's rules. But now, nearly a decade after his death, his name is being whispered in the halls of a courtroom packed with secrets that Diddy desperately wanted to keep buried. The bomb drop during the emotional testimony of Cassie Ventura laid bare a chilling story of control, fear, and years of psychological torment. For days, she peeled back the glamorous image, exposing the man behind the empire. But it was her memory of a night at Prince's house that shocked the whole world.
They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know.
Cassie took the stand and recalled a night that was supposed to be unforgettable. A private performance at Prince's home in Los Angeles. The kind of magical moment only a handful of people on earth could say they'd experienced. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, she told the court. A quiet dinner with friends, then off to Prince's iconic house. There was no fanfare, no cameras, no press. But then came the shift. She said she didn't tell Diddy because she knew he'd shut it down. Cassie wanted the night for herself, but that freedom was short-lived. When Cassie arrived at the party, she immediately spotted BT executives, and suddenly someone whispered the last thing she wanted to hear. Diddy's here. Cassie's heart dropped. I caught a glimpse of him, left the party, and ran out as fast as I could, she testified. I knew he was angry at me, and that's the moment that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. It was after this moment that Cassie said Diddy actually went after her in front of everyone. Panic hit her instantly, and she bolted. In heels and panic, she ran through Prince's front yard, trying to escape before Diddy reached her. She ended up falling into the bushes, but somehow she made it out. Eventually, Cassie made it back to the Beverly Hills Hotel, thinking she was safe, but the night wasn't over. It wasn't until another witness took the stand that the full story of that night began to unfold. Now, the stakes just keep building up in Diddy's explosive trial, and on day 9, a new name sent whispers through the courtroom: makeup artist Myla Morales. Morales isn't just some bystander. She's been in the inner circle. The makeup artist worked for Diddy from 2000 to 2005 before moving on to other celeb clients, but she's been close to Cassie Ventura since the very beginning.
She's a former makeup artist for Diddy and also Cassie Ventura, working for Diddy for years and eventually becoming a friend of Cassie's.
Morales met Cassie when Cassie was just 16 at a New York photo shoot, and over the years the two became like sisters. She even did Cassie's makeup regularly when she signed with Bad Boy Records in 2007 and kept doing it all the way until 2021. But here's the thing, Morales was there for one of the darkest nights Cassie ever faced.
A makeup artist who worked for Diddy, and Cassie testified that she saw signs of abuse and let Cassie stay in her own home after one violent encounter.
During Cassie's emotional testimony, she revealed how Diddy allegedly physically hurt her at a party. The injuries were so bad that Morales asked Cassie to stay with her for a few days so that she could heal properly. And Morales, she backed up every word. Taking the stand, Morales told the court that on that terrifying night when Cassie fled from Diddy at Prince's party, she stayed behind in Cassie's Beverly Hills hotel room.
I was in the hotel room when Puff came in.
Morales testified she woke up to a commotion and saw Cassie rush into the hotel room with Diddy right behind her. The bedroom door slammed shut, and what happened next was terrifying. Morales said she heard yelling and screaming coming from inside. After a while, Diddy left the hotel. When Morales finally saw Cassie, it was clear just how bad things were. Cassie had multiple wounds on her face and head. But instead of going to the emergency room, Cassie refused help. She said only a doctor friend checked on her. Morales stayed with Cassie for days as she healed from her injuries, witnessing firsthand the scars left behind by that horrific night. The makeup artist admitted the whole ordeal left her terrified for her own safety. She was so scared, in fact, that she didn't call the police.
Did she go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puff Puffy is a very powerful person.
Despite seeing Cassie a few times afterward, Morales said she never brought up what happened again. A silence that now speaks volumes. But then, things got even hotter. Under cross-examination, Morales faced tough questions about her role in all this. She didn't back down. Morales confirmed she's given multiple interviews since the allegations against Diddy blew up. She's spoken on record with big names like Piers Morgan and Don Lemon, and even appeared in documentaries about Sean Combs. No hiding here. But what really turned heads was the pattern of violence she revealed. She claims a dark cycle of violence followed whenever Cassie tried to step out of line. Just going to a party at Prince's house without asking Diddy first? That alone sparked violence later. There was one instance when Morales recounted a particularly horrifying incident. Cassie apparently used her fists at Diddy after he called her a slur, and his brutal response came instantly right as they were sitting inside his SUV. What was the aftermath? Cassie was forced to hole up in a hotel, nursing visible injuries. And it gets worse. Morales said Diddy once made Cassie cover bruises with makeup just so one of his sons wouldn't notice the abuse. Now the defense tried to paint Morales as an attention seeker, but the courtroom wasn't buying it. Her testimony came off raw, real, and painfully credible. Just when you thought the worst had been revealed, the trial peeled back yet another layer. Diddy's trial just got darker, and it's all coming from behind the closed doors of luxury hotel suites. Frederick Zemmour, the general manager of the ultra-posh L'Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills, dropped jaw-dropping details in court. As he laid out Diddy's hotel records, a chilling internal note caught everyone's attention. It said Diddy always spills candle wax on everything and uses excessive amounts of oil.
The hotel's logs included a note about him saying, quote, always spills candle wax on everything and uses excessive amounts of oil.
But that's just the start. The note also demanded the room be blasted to a sweltering 75 degrees. No exceptions. And here's what's weird. Once Diddy checks out, the room must be marked out of order for deep cleaning. What kind of mess requires that level of cleanup? While Diddy continues to plead not guilty and denies all allegations, these hotel secrets hint at a disturbing pattern behind the glitz and glamour. At one point, Diddy was slapped with a $500 fee for leaving large deposits of candle wax all over the furniture. Yeah, not exactly your average hotel guest behavior. That's not all. Frederick Zemmour spilled even more secrets in court. Turns out Diddy wasn't booking rooms under his own name. Instead, he used aliases like Frank Black and Ryan Lopez.
Hotel records that showed that Sean Combs had checked in there, and then over the years he had used different aliases, including that Frankie Black or Frank Black.
This only thing here is the hotel staff allegedly knew who he really was and still stuck him in certain entry-level rooms. Why? That's a mystery the court is still piecing together. And it's not just about candles and weird names. Prosecutors have accused Diddy of throwing wild freak-offs at hotels, elaborate, choreographed, exploitative performances that he allegedly forced others to take part in.
Left her and psychologically damaged. She was made to participate, she said, in hundreds of freak-offs, these performances with male.
They say he had very specific demands for these events: candles, mood lighting, and plenty of baby oil.
His duties included unpacking hotel bags, and those included clothes, those included speakers, they included other things like candles, liquor, baby oil.
These aren't just luxury hotel quirks. The prosecutors argue they reveal a disturbing level of control the man exercised in private. But Cassie says Diddy's obsessive behavior didn't end behind closed doors. He brought it into their home too. She spilled about her hush-hush relationship with Kid Cudi.
He reportedly had a brief relationship with Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura nearly 15 years ago.
And guess what? Diddy didn't just find out by chance. No, he went straight into full-on detective mode, digging through Cassie's phone during a freak-out. What happened next? Things took a dark turn. Diddy allegedly tried to attack Cassie with a corkscrew. This time, Cassie didn't stick around for the chaos. She walked away because the whole thing was way too dangerous and unpredictable. And Cassie wasn't the only one shaken. Kid Cudi says the fear she carried was so real, it changed everything. Cudi opened up about how terrified Cassie was the moment Combs found out about their secret romance. So scared, in fact, that Cudi had to whisk her away to a hotel to keep her safe. Later, they even laid low together in Connecticut, trying to escape the madness. But the chaos didn't stop there. Desperate to cool things down, Cootie called for a face-to-face meeting with Combs at Soho House. Cootie admitted he was in love with Cassie, but said things fizzled when he tried to give her space, and she apparently went back to Combs. But it didn't stop there. After dropping Cassie off at a West Hollywood hotel, Cutie came home to a scene that immediately sent alarm bells ringing. The house was completely trashed.
Kind of the most graphic, obviously. One where he alleges Diddy broke into his home, and then another where he alleges that Diddy or one of his associates threw a Molotov cocktail.
But the creepiest part, his beloved dog, normally free to roam the house, was locked in the bathroom. And after that day, Cootie says his dog was never the same, that he was jittery and on edge all the time. But that wasn't the only thing that felt off. Cutie noticed that Christmas presents he had lovingly bought for his family had been opened. At first, Cootie wanted to fight Diddy, but then he made the smart move and called the cops, who showed up and took a report on what was clearly a break-in.
He called 911, but he also called Combs, and he said, why are you in my house? And he said, I'm on my way.
Then came the nightmare phone call in the dead of night. Cutie was told his car was on fire. The jury got a front row seat to the devastation, with photos showing his Porsche burned, blackened inside, with the driver's seat melted beyond recognition. The top was sliced open, and it looked like someone had dropped a Molotov cocktail right inside. Cutie even testified he spotted the burnt, half-destroyed bottle still inside the car.
His dog watcher called to tell him that his Porsche was on fire. The jury, they saw these images. And Cuddy said it looked like the top had been cut open.
Now, this act of arson is not just some random attack. It's part of the serious racketeering charges Combs is facing. And let's not forget, Cassie already told the court that Diddy allegedly threatened to destroy Kid Cootie's car after finding out about their secret relationship.
Cassie testified that he told her that he was going to firebomb his car. His car was going to burn.
Just when the court thought it had seen the worst, a former insider took the stand, ready to expose the chaos from behind Combs' private doors. You won't believe what former Sean Combs' personal assistant George Kaplan just revealed in court. His time working for Diddy pushed him to places he never imagined. At just 34, Kaplan's testimony was chilling, peeling back the curtain on a side of Combs nobody wanted to see. In jaw-dropping testimony, Kaplan gave specific details about Diddy's operations. He called out elite hotels by name: the Intercontinental in Los Angeles, the ultra-swanky SLS in South Beach, and the hotel in NYC's ritzy Columbus Circle. These weren't just backdrops for luxury living, they were, according to Kaplan, ground zero for the chaos. Kaplan described his role in stark detail. He was Diddy's bag man, the guy who prepped hotel rooms hours before what insiders allegedly called freak-offs. Orders didn't just come from Diddy himself, though. Kaplan said his so-called chief of staff, Christina Coram, was also pulling strings. The mission set the stage in LA, New York, and Miami before the games began. Kaplan also talked about witnessing violence firsthand, at least 3 intense jaw-dropping incidents. One of the most shocking moments was on a private plane flying to Las Vegas. Glass had shattered, and Kaplan saw Combs holding a whiskey glass high above his head like he was ready to strike.
He described Sean as holding up like a rocks glass, and heard Cassie then say, "Isn't someone seeing this?"
Meanwhile, Cassie was on the floor, hands raised, desperately trying to shield herself. The scene was straight out of a nightmare. But the situation grew even more distressing. Kaplan was also called into Combs' bedroom to find Cassie in tears, her head buried in her hands. The bruises on her face were impossible to miss. She was visibly broken, and the pain was as clear as day. Sean Combs' former personal assistant revealed even more startling details. He would be sent on a late-night pharmacy run, not for snacks or band-aids, but to buy lotion and witch hazel. Why? Because Kaplan says Combs wanted to mix them up as some kind of anti-swelling agent. It was clear someone was getting hurt, and this was the makeshift remedy. The moment that finally broke, Kaplan came in 2015. He saw a furious Combs in his Miami mansion, hurling green apples from a fancy decorative bowl. And not just throwing for fun, mind you. These apples were aimed right at another woman in Combs' life. who was desperately shielding herself with her arms. Can you imagine that? It was so wild. Kaplan said it was the last straw for him. Still, Kaplan didn't jump in to stop the chaos. Why? Because he claims he was just a young guy trying to break into the entertainment world. This was his first real job, and he told the court, "For a second, I thought this might be normal." That same night, the tension didn't ease up. Kaplan was called to bring Combs's medicine bag, and from the room came the woman's distant voice and loud commotion by the front gate. Shortly after, Kaplan made the tough call to leave. He told the court he was not comfortable being aligned with the physical behavior.